Oh, good morning. Welcome to today's class. Today's class is we're going to continue from where we stopped during the last class. During the last class, we were able to write our first program, and which I believe many of us are very happy to seeing how programs works and how we can easily relate with a computer and give it instruction to work better. All right. So today we continue from where we stopped by taking it a step further by introducing ourselves to what is called syntax in Python, right? So what is called syntax in Python. So that is what we'll be doing today. Trying to check if I can make it bigger. Okay. Is it bigger? I think it's bigger. Can you see it well now? Hello, are you
Yes,
together? Oh, I think it's bigger. It's cool right now, the way I'm writing. So today we'll move straight to what we want to do as Python syntax in Python. So what do you mean by syntax in Python? So
is the way
syntax,
of writing things.
syntax refers to the rules of writing our code. The rules is the rules, right? The rules we need to follow for writing our code. The rules for writing the codes, right? That's syntax. So from there, we are going to first of all tell ourselves what Python really uh appreciates very well. Python really appreciates these things very well. That thing is called indentation. And what do you mean by indentation? Indentation is basically
Second is
yeah. So like I was saying, um there's something Python really appreciate a lot, which is indentation. Now, so what do we mean by indentation? Indentation is just trying to use space right before the first. It's just like saying paragraph. And in those days, I'm sure you must understand what is called paragraphic conjunctions. In those days, when we write letters, when we were in school, we really want to start a paragraph, we give some space before the line. This is a line of our notebooks, right? So we always give a space, then we start writing. It's called paragraphs. But in programming, we call that thing indentation, right? Is indentation. So why does Python really take indentation very serious? It takes indentation very serious because it wants people to read, to be able to read. Like I said during the last class, Python is easy to read. We want people to be able to read our codes very well. Understand this particular code is part of a certain rule, is part of a certain code, a code block. We have something called a code block, right? So if there is indentation, we will know all this code are part of this particular block. So when we are done with this block, we can move to another block. So indentation makes it clearer compared to every other programming languages that we have. Other programming languages does not really take indentation very serious. So if you don't even do indentation, Python will run error, it will show error, right? There will going to be an error saying that you need to indentate this particular thing. You need to make sure indentation is inside this particular code. So that is the first thing we're going to do. And I'm going to show you an example for that. So for example, so I talked about indentation also. So I've written that. So another thing I'm going to do that, and let me quickly give an example of indentation. For example, I can just give a bit of something. I can just say, I can use any statement. I can just use any statement, say for. Don't ask me what do you mean by for, or I can use if. Let me use if as an example, right? So if I use if and I press this particular function and I press enter, you will see that there is a space between this first line and this particular print that I have here. Can you see? There's a place between that place. This space that we have is called indentation. And that is what I just want to show you. And that's all. Nothing more as regards that. Right? So, but something I really want to show us, which have been using all this while, is called comments. Comments. So what do you mean by comments in programming language generally? Comment is a way of trying as much as possible to explain what we do, right? Explanation of what we do. Then it will not affect our code. It's not going to affect our code. So basically, what we are trying to say is once we comment a line out, it means we are telling computer, we are telling Python, Python, this line, don't read it, ignore this line. A way of ignoring a line, right? And that way of ignoring a line can also serve as a way of making sure or explaining what you are trying to do, right, to other people that really want to read your code. For example, you wrote a code base that is very long. So you need to tell people what you intend to do. For example, this code is to build a calculator. And inside it, oh, I want to write a functions that had something. Or I want to make sure that Miriam works on this particular code block. Or Camilla should complete this work. For me to be able to do that, I need to comment in that. And how do we comment in Python? We comment in Python by using what? Hashtag. And that is what I've been using earlier. All this one. All right. If I use hashtag, automatically these things would not be seen. It will ignore that particular line. And that's the essence of the comment. I just make sure I need to do that. Very, very important. Then the next thing I need to make sure that we talked about is called identifiers and naming rules. Identifiers and naming rules. So in Python, identifiers, please, you can write all these things down. Identifiers in Python. So if you want to name a variable, there's something we call variable in Python. So what do you mean by a variable? We are still going to discuss variable as time goes on. So variable is a name, right, that we give to a container for storing data. For example, you know hard disk now. Have you heard about hard disk before? You know hard disk on your computer. Hard disk stores everything we are trying to do. It saves file. When you do Control S in your Microsoft Word or Excel, it stores in a particular place inside your hard disk, right? So variable also serve as what? An hard disk, but a mini hard disk, right? That stores value, that stores list, that stores data. So anytime you need that particular data, you want to call on that data, you just call it. For example, I can just say, welcome to Miriam, right? This welcome to Miriam I have, welcome Miriam and Camilla that I have here. I can assign a certain variable to this thing. So which means anytime I want to call on this particular welcome Miriam and Camilla, I will just call on that thing. Or for example, I can just assign it to A. So anytime I need A, I will just print it out, for example. So like I said variables, right? So I can say, let me make this, uh, let me comment it out because I don't want it to give me error. So what do I mean by variable? I can just say variables I can just say A to be equal to just where we have it here. I just want to quickly show you something. Camilla, welcome Camilla and Miriam, right? So if I now want to print, I can just say print A. If I do print A, right, it means that what I want to show exactly that I did here, A will also show me. For example, let me comment this out. I really want this to show. So I can just come in and just do Control F5, just the way I said it earlier. If I do Control F5, you will see that the same thing happens because I printed A and it's showing me welcome Miriam and Camilla. The exact thing that is showing me here. But instead of using this, I used A, and this is variable. So the question now is, what are those rules governing naming of a variable? Right? Is what I really want to tell you now. The rules governing naming of a variable is a variable. That's the first thing we need to know. That's the first thing we need to know, that a variable must start with a letter or an underscore. A variable must start with a letter or an underscore. I've given you what variable means. It stores data, right? It helps us to store data, and we can always recall it, right? So a variable must start with a letter or an underscore. Do you understand? Then, what's the second one? A variable cannot start with that's the next line. A variable cannot start with a number. We can't start a variable with a number. We cannot start, a variable cannot start with a number, cannot start a variable with a number. You can see the way I'm trying to take you around. Then variable is also case sensitive. What do I mean by case sensitivity? Case sensitivity means, let me show you. A variable is case sensitive. Let me explain that to you. Case sensitivity simply means that if I use small letter to store a variable, I can't go ahead and say I want to use capital letter to retrieve it. For example, I said small letter here to be equals to this, right? I can't come back here and say capital letter A. If I do capital letter A here and I press Ctrl F5 to run, or I come here to run, which is it, I come here to run. Can you see what to say? You can read this for me. Can you read this for me?
What is it for? Huh?
Yeah?
Name error.
Name error. A is not defined, right? Why?
It is
Because,
not defined.
yeah, it's not defined. Because why? What's the question? What's the issue? It is case sensitive. I used small letter here, and
Name
here,
error.
yes, name A is not defined.
And A is not
Yeah, fine. Yes.
defined.
Yes. So, which means that it's because of the capital letter A that I've used. I'm just trying to show you that if I do this and I press Ctrl F5, it will. I'm just trying to show you all this because to show you that it is also case sensitive, right? And we cannot use Python keywords for variable. We cannot use what? Python keywords for what? Keywords for variable. So what are keywords? So this will now take us to another aspect called keywords, which I'm going to show you right now. Keywords. So keywords are special words. Keywords are special words, right? Or reserved words for specific purposes. They are special words or reserved words for specific purposes. Let me use reserved. Reserved keywords are reserved words for specific purposes. Right? So what are those words? So please take note. My previous class, I always give this as an assignment to my students, but fortunately for you, I'm not going to give you as an assignment. I will just give you your own. I will just give you things you will check and you write them down and you know them by heart, right? So for example, let me give you an example. Example, each. I'll just give you examples for each. Don't worry. E.g., the number one is if, else. I'll just give you few, for, while. They are much, right? Class, import, return. These are ones that I can give as an example. But if you want to know everything that happens, if you want to see all the keywords, to see all the keywords, so I've used import. Can you say I give an example of import, right? I'm going to use this particular import statement to import a package. So in Python, we normally import package. We import package, we import class, we import methods. but we're going to get there. But I just want to quickly show you all the keywords. So I'm going to write this, import keywords, right? Import keywords, then press enter. So I'm going to press enter. Then I'll just do print keyword, keyword dot KW lists. So one thing about this PyCharm that we have is it helps us. One advantage that we have here, it helps us it will give us intelligence. It will help us to complete whatever thing we are writing. One, if it does that, it makes our work faster. It gives us more opportunity to do so many things together, and we can easily get things at a full. So sometimes if you forget a particular keyword or something you're trying to use, if you remember the first letter or the first two letter, of course it will bring down every other thing that you can easily work with. And that is the essence of using this particular code editor that we are using. So can you see if I run this particular code, right? Let me comment this out still. If I comment this out, it's not going to show again. So if I run this particular code, Control F5, it will show me all the keywords, Control F5. It will show me all the keywords that we have. So we have false, none, true, and as. The one I've given, if. Let's go and check if you have if. Can you see it here? Can you see it? We have else. Else, let's come back to E. Can you see? We have else if, we have except. So every keywords that we'll be using is here. So what I will just advise you and I will ask you during our next class is go and know all these keywords by heart. And why? Is because we don't use Python keywords for variables. We cannot use Python keywords for variables, right? cannot be used, cannot be used. Python keywords cannot be used for variables, right? Cannot be used for variables. Very, very important. Please note all this. Can you see? I've given you this assignment. The assignment is just for you to know all this so you won't make that mistake of using a keyword as variable. That is very, very important. All right. So the next one I'm going to teach us, we are going gradually right now, making sure we get things done. The next thing I'm going to teach us and I'm going to show us is what we call an input. So when we get there, is what we call a variable itself. Variable itself. Variable. So we discussed variable at length here. So what do you mean by variable? Like I said earlier, variable is a name, right? That is used to store data. A name container, right? A name container, right? Used for storing data. Used for storing data. Do you get the drift now? The name used for storing data. For example, we have a bucket in your house. I'm sure we all have a bucket in our house, right? You have a bucket in your house. So, and if you now pour water in that particular bucket, if you now want to tell your sister or someone to help you bring that bucket, what will you tell the person to bring? And you've got like different buckets with different data or different content inside them. You tell your brother or your sister, Abdullah, give me that red bucket because you've got like red, blue, green. Give me the bucket that contains water, right? Which is red. So if by adventure you now name those buckets in the house, like red is for maybe you named it, right? So in some people's house, they got different cups. They will just tell you, oh, give me a Abdullah's cup. Everybody already knows that you're talking about green cup. If Abdullah is green, give me Miriam's cup. Everybody knows Miriam's cup will be pink, right? Because our cup is pink in color, right? Those are variable names, right? So basically, we also do that in Python. So how do we now do that? So we can just start with a name. So this is a name. We can just make it to be equal to, like I said, once you have a variable, if it follows by an equality sign. It follows by what? An equality sign. So if it's going to be a string, right? We are going to put it inside a quote. It's going to be a string. We are going to put it inside a quote. So I can get a string called Camila. I think, did I get it right? Did I get the spelling right? Is the
Yes, sir.
spelling correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, makes sense. Okay. So this is inside this particular quote because it's a text. Anytime you are writing a text, alphabets, letters in programming, you put it inside a quote, be it single quote or double quote. So I'm going to tell you when to use this too, right? But this will work, right? Can also work. I can also have another variable called say name2, name1 to be equal to this time around. I have this. I can name it Marian, right? These two will work, and those two things are called string. They are called string. They are called string. They are called strings, right? This is also called string, right? That is a name. This string is called data types. So I'm using this to teach two things together right now. It's called what? A data type. So let me give you an example again. Another example can be age, right? Age is equals to, so I can say in 10. I'm sure none of you is in 10 here, all right? But let me just use in 10, right? With this particular number, what do you observe? If you are writing a number, we don't put number in quotes. We don't put number in quotes. All right. And this number is called an integer. That's the data type. It's called what? Integer. That's the data type for this. It's called an integer. Right? So another one can be say height. Height. That's the height. Can be equals to say 1.55. 1.55 can also be integer, but it is not integer. Integer are whole numbers, right? But here we call it floats in programming. But normally it should be a decimal point, right? Something that has a decimal point, we can also use decimal to denote it. But in programming language, we'll call them floats. Anything that has a decimal point is called float. Please note it. Anything that has a decimal point is called what? Float. Very, very important. Then we can also do what is called Boolean. Boolean is trying to ask if something is true or false. For example, are you a student? True. So in my programming, maybe I'm trying to create a particular form for every people, and I want to differentiate between a student and non-student. I can just say a variable called is underscore student, right? So is it student? Then we can name it true. So this is called Boolean. Anything you see called Boolean, you must have been saying this. Is this saying either true or false? Can you see? It's either true or false, and that is how it works. The question is, how do I know all these things? Yes. Yeah, you might say because I've been teaching this for the no, but Python already told me what it is. And how do I get to know that? I can just come and print it out just to show me the data type. How do I get to know the data type? I can just say print statement. I use the print statement. Then I use a function called a type function. A type function, then I can use a variable inside this type function. This is the variable called a student. Then if I run Control F5, so can you see what I have? I have bool. So let me comment this out. Then let's do it again. Control F5. So I have bool, which is called boolean. If I change this variable to say name, right? Is that name one or name? And I press Control F5. Can you see it has changed to string, which is str. That's short form for string. For integer, it's going to be int. So let's do for name one too, just for us to confirm. It's also going to be string. So if I change this, okay, oh, makes sense. So let's check for everything that I have here.
Sir. Sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Why did you write is students and then you left the staff?
Why did I do what?
Like, why is there a dash between is and student?
This one
Yes,
is star.
is that like
Oh,
a
a
space
dash. Yes, yes,
underscore?
yes, yes. The underscore there is because I'm trying to differentiate a compound name. Okay, so for example, another rule I forgot to add here is if you are writing a compound word, right, is either you use what is called a camel case or an underscore to separate it. For example, I have Mariam Mishola. So if because in variable we don't have space in variable, there should not be a space in variable, right? We shouldn't put space in between them. It should be a single word, single word. So imagine I want to write Ishola Mariam, and I wrote Ishola Mariam. Assuming you are not Ishola Mariam and you want to pronounce this word, how would you pronounce it? Camera. It's a complex word. So you are going to see this word as a singular word, whereas it is not a singular word, right? So that is why if you are naming or if you really want to name your variable and it's a compound name, is either you separate them with an underscore or use a camel case. So what is the camel case? You know the camel, you know how camel is now? Camel, if you go, it has a very big back, then the neck also go down, then together with the head. So we have a curvy wave, right? Something like, I'm sure you must have done physics, sine wave in physics. You know how sine wave curves. Are
Yes,
you a science student? I'm sure you're a science student. I'm sure. I'm sure you're a science student, right? Maria?
yes,
Aha. You know sine wave, how it curves. It's curvy, it's just like a slopey way. So that is where they coin the word camel case from the word camel. Camel case. So how do I mean by camel case? It means that I can either write Ishola with capital letter, then Miriam start with capital letter. For obvious reason, you can see it very well. Abi,
yes,
can you see it now? Or I make Ishola, I small letter, then the hem will be capital letter. Either ways, every quarter, the middle, this one sharp must be in capital letter. Are you getting what I'm saying?
yes, yes,
Yeah, which means, can you see the curvy way now? The first one is small, the second one is capital. Or we have a capital letter here. All these other words are small. Then when we go to the new word, the capital letter is small. If you have another new word, capital letter is small. So we have a curvy way, just like the camel neck, the way camel is being designed by Allah. Do you understand? That is why it is called a camel case. Or we use an underscore to separate it. So what is the underscore? How do I do that? I'm going to use that same word. Ishola Miriam. So can you see now that it is easier to read this compared to this that we have already? You already know this is Ishola Miriam, but it is still a singular word. Are you getting what I'm saying? It is still what? A singular word in the database, if that is where we are trying to store it, which invariably that is where it will head. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that is why it is important for you to note that we either write it this way or this way. If you are writing what? A compound word. Please note that. Very important. Thank you for that question. Very, very important question. So I've been able to explain that. So let's run this again. So the first one, which is name one, is string for obvious reason. Age is an integer for obvious reason. Height is a float. Can you see? Float. Then is student is true, which is what? A boolean. If you change this to false, it will change. It will also be a boolean. Do you understand the drift now? Very, very important. So I think with that, we can easily come and give you another function, which is very, very, very important. So that function really helps us in making sure that our program is also user interactive. So I want to interact with my user. For example, if I'm writing a particular code for now, I want to ask user to give me some data. So I don't want to add code a data. For example, I want to know your age. I will just say, give me your date of birth. I don't know your date of birth, but I want my program to calculate your age. I'll just say, give me your date of birth. So your date of birth is what I will subtract from the current date. So if I subtract that from the current date, of course, I will get your age, which is very easy, right? So, and that thing is called user input. It's called getting a user input. So that makes your work more interactive, more interesting for people to, even for you yourself. So we are going to introduce ourselves to that is trying to get user input, right? So it's called user input, user input. So what does it really mean? It's a function that gets data from user, right? It's a function that is used to get what? Data. We used to get data from user, right? So how do we do that? Very easy. We use this function called an input function. Let me just put it there. An input function to get that done. So imagine I want to have a name myself. So I can just say I can have a variable called class. No, I can have a variable called Nakel or a variable called give me a variable, give me a random name, give me a random name. Camila. Can
What?
please you said what?
What?
Oh, Miriam, can you hear me? Give me a random name. Someone should please give me a random name. I can barely hear her.
Muslima.
Muslima. Oh, that's a very long name. Just say Muslim. Let's say Muslim equals, right? That's it. Equals, then I use an input statement. Don't forget, I'm using an input statement to get data from user. I can just say input statement, then come inside and say, are you a Muslim? Or what is your name? I can say Muslim equals, I can just say, what, what is your name? Can you say? You can say, what is your name? If I run this code, so uh, uh, let me comment all these things out. So the question is, you can also comment multiple lines at once. So how do we do that? Can you see? I just highlight it and I comment everything multiple lines at once. How do I do that? So that's going to be an assignment for you. Get to know how to do that. So I will tell you. Maybe if you impress me in class today, I will tell you. Yeah, so all this is this, right? I'm saying Muslim equals impute. What is your name? If I run this particular code, let me just run it first. Can you see what it's showing me?
Yes, sir.
Can you see what is your name? So I can write here.
Yes, sir.
My name is, I can just say my name. is, what's my name? Awe. That's all. If I press enter, nothing happens. Nothing will happen again. It has finished because I did not tell the computer, the program to do something else after I might have written my name. Right? So if I wanted to say I should write something else, don't forget what we've been doing. We are just showing, showing, showing. But now it's becoming more interactive by you writing inside it and giving you results. So if I wanted to give me a result now, the first thing we are going to do, the next thing I'm going to do is just to come here and do my print function. You know, I've introduced you to the print function. Now I'm introducing you to what? An input function. Yeah, what I will just put inside there, we just say print function, then do welcome. Welcome. I will just put this inside a quote, right? I'll just say welcome. Welcome. Put inside the quote. The comma was correct comma, then the variable Muslim. Because it means that the name that is here, the name I'm going to put here is going to be assigned to what? Muslim. That's what it means. That's what it means. It's going to be assigned to what? Muslim. So if I run this code again, what is your name? I can just say, what's your name? I can just say Muideen, right? If my name is Muideen and I press enter, so let me make it bigger just for you to see. My name is Muideen and I press enter, it will tell you, can you see? Can you see? It's saying what? Welcome, Muideen. So it means if anybody press anybody's name, so this time around, I am making my program more dynamic because what I'm going to show is not going to be hard coded again. So anybody can come in my code and type in their name and you should welcome them to my class. And this is how it is being used. This is what is being used in your program. If you have an email address, they will tell you welcome, Miriam, tell you welcome, Camila. If I also log into that same place with my username and password, it will tell me welcome within. And it is one code that is doing all those things. It's because it's saying our name individually. They make it dynamic, and this is one way to make your program dynamic. So we are moving straight from being stagnant or static to being dynamic now. This is one way to make your program more dynamic, right? So these things, we've been able to get this right. And I think I can give you an assignment. So basically, so I'm going to give you an assignment, just an activities in the class. So we want to declare variable for all these things. We declare, you just mention it, you tell me the answer, you tell me the variable for that particular, the data type for that particular answer. You declare a variable and a data type. You tell me the data type and the variable. So the first thing is, let me just say activity. It's going to be a class activity. Activity class. So the first one is going to be your best friend's name. Your best friend's name. What's your best friend's name? The result of your best friend's name, is it going to be string? Is it going to be integer? Is it going to be, let me show you. Is it going to be string? Is it going to be integer? Is it going to be float? Is it going to be Boolean? Let me ask Miriam. Miriam, what's your best friend's name?
It's going to be a string.
It's going to be a string. Okay. Because,
Okay.
because, why is it a string?
Because it's a word or something.
Yeah. Okay. It starts with a letter. It's a character. It's an alphabet. Either one works. Yeah. Okay. The next question. What is your shoe size, Camila? Your shoe size. Are you there?
Integer.
Ah, I can barely hear you. What did you say?
Two sides, integer.
Eh?
So I said integers.
Integer. Yeah. Why is it an integer?
One is a normal number.
Okay.
Variable.
Okay. Oh, makes sense. So the next question I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask it of you. I'm sure your answer will, and I want you to answer it. Your answer might differ. I don't know. So, do you like pizza? Just answer the question. Do you like pizza, Kamila? Both of you. Yeah, I want your answer. Miriam, do you like pizza?
Yes.
Oh, makes sense. Camila, do you like pizza? You don't like it, right? Okay. So the response, what data type will your response be?
A boolean.
Oh, do you not get the drift now? That is what I really want to get from that aspect, right? So I think it's important for us to also do that. So we've been able to do the activities and yeah, nice one. I think we can now move straight to teaching the data type one after the other. Just try as much as possible to see how we can easily use it and check for the data type. So we want to talk about string itself on its own. We want to talk about the numbers, which is the integers, then the boolean. So all the three ones, we discuss it. We've been able to discuss them, but I think we can just do one or two things with them. Can just do one or two things with them. Right? So we already know anything that starts with string is always with an alphabet is always a string, right? And there are some operations, there are some string operations I want to introduce us to gradually, gradually. There are some string operations I want to introduce us to, which I think is very, very important. Right? For string. We already know what string means. When we talk about string, we already know what I mean by string itself, right? So there are some string operations I want us to know. So which is what? Let me give an example. You can have a variable called message, right? And message could be, I can just say Python is fun. Is Python fun? Is the class fun already? Do you enjoy the class? Are you enjoying the class? Or let me put it that way. Or is Python fun? Mariam, is Python fun? Can
Yes, sir.
It's fun, right? Oh, makes sense. So I have a message called Python is fun. Yeah, fun. Let's try and see some operations we can do on this particular Python is fun that we've just done. So for example, I can just print the operations here. Let me just do operations now. Boom. Can do operations, then I can do print message. Sorry, can do print message. I need to print message, right? And get things done. But- Yeah, so what are the operations that we can do? So one of the operations I can do is I can convert everything I have here to a small letter. So how do I do that? Converting it to a small letter. You can say, if I'm going to do that, because it's already a string, I'm doing a string operation. So what are those string operations I can do? I can just say message dot, this time around, um, lower. By doing message just lower function, right? So what it does basically is to convert everything to a small letter. So because I'm done with this, let me comment this out. So I can run this again, F5. Can you see? Python here is small letter already. Can you say, and the capital letter Y, capital letter, you have capital letter P here, and you come here, it's small letter P, right? So if I want to convert it to uh, a capital letter, I will just do message dot upper function. Can you see? If I run this code again, can you see? Can you see? Python is fun. And the real Python we are talking about is like this. And I can also replace this fun with something else called awesome. Or yeah, let me use my name. Python is all, right? I can just print. There are so many things you can see. We have capitalized, we have title, so many things that we can use. So I can just say replace function. There's a replace function. So instead of using Python, I won't use Python. I will just do replace fun with all. Python is all. So let me complete it with also. Right? So if I do this, all this old and new that is there, they are not necessary. They are not even there. They are just showing us because they are not there at all. Right? Ha. So let's run this again. Can you see? I've been able to change this from fun that we have to what? Awesome. That is those are some Python's operations, string operations that we have. You can also practice them, right? And see what other things we can use to get them done. So another one that we can also use, we've done Python, we've done strings. So we can talk about numbers now. Let's go to numbers. We have numbers, right? So we have two types of numbers. Like I said earlier, we have floats. Let me write it there. We have floats and integers. Remember? So we have examples. So the examples can be uh I've given you an example earlier. So let's quickly create a variable. So I can have a variable called x to be equals to say 5, right? And y can be say 7.5 or 7.6, right? Aha. So we can say print x and y. If you print x and y, everything becomes normal because you already understand what float is. Float is a decimal point. For example, a 3.14, which is that pi value, is a float, right? I have 7 or 8.9 meter per second square. Is it 8.9 or 7.8 meter per second square? Right? Is also a float. These are examples of floats. For integers, like I said, they are all whole numbers from 1 to 9. So between this is an integer, this is an integer, this is an integer, those are different types that we can also use. Do you understand? All numbers are integers, be it negative or positive, right? So the question here is very easy. So I can come here and print. So for obvious reason, the result is 12.6. TK now. The result is 12.6, and that is how it works. All right. And I think we can also do more examples on our own and see how it works. So having said all this, so this will take us to another aspect called operators. We have operators in Python. operators in Python. And that was what I intended to teach right now. So what do you mean by operators? Operators generally are ways we can handle these data. We've been talking about data, storing data, trying to make sure we manipulate them. So how do we handle them? How do we manipulate them? How do we use them? Data cannot just be stored alone inside the database or inside your computer. We need to be able to see how best we can manipulate them, how best we can use them. And that is where operators comes into play. And operators are now divided into different formats. So for our class, we're going to do like 4 different types. 4 different types. We're going to do like 4 different types of operators in our class. So we have the arithmetic operator. We have the arithmetic operators that we are going to discuss today. We have the comparison operator. We have the comparison operator. We have a logical operator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. We have logical operator, then assignment operator. These are the four different operators we are going to talk about. Okay, so what's your question?
Yeah. Operators like keywords.
You said what? Are they like
Keywords.
keywords? No, no, they are not like keywords. They are symbols, special symbols. Most times we use special symbols for them. They are special symbols. They are not like keywords. Don't forget, I gave an answer. Keywords are words, right? They are words. But I'm just saying they are divided into like 4 different types. The arithmetic operator, the comparison operator, logical operator, and assignment operator. So we are going to start with assignment operator. Can you hear me? So we're going to start with assignment operator. So far, I hope you understand what we've been doing so far. Camila.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. How about you, Maria?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's good. So we're going to start with assignment operator. So what do you mean by arithmetic? Sorry, not assignment. We're going to start with arithmetic operator. So what do you mean by arithmetic operator is going to be very, very key. So arithmetic operator are operators that are used to perform arithmetic operations. Normal arithmetic. Right, the operators that are used to perform arithmetic operations. So let me write it down here. Arithmetic. We're starting with arithmetic. Right, they are used to perform arithmetic operations. So what are those operations that we're talking about? We have the addition, we have the subtraction, we have the multiplication, we have the division, we have the modulus. So what do you mean by modulus? This is modulus. These are examples we are going to discuss in class now. We have modulus, we have power, raised to power. This is how to do raised to power. There's another thing called flooring. Flooring is rounding down. When you round down, for example, 3.6, right? You want to round it down, right? So we are going to see all this. So let's create a variable. We're going to have a variable that we're going to use to do all this. So let's say n to be equals to 10 and m to be equals to 5. So let's start using all this. So we can say for arithmetic operator for addition, this is for addition, this is subtraction, this is multiplication, this is division, this is modulus, this is power, and this is flooring. So you want me to write it down? Should I write it there? Or you remember? Should I use the meaning? Should I write the meaning? I need your response.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Okay, you remember, makes sense. Yeah. So it's simple. What you've been used to all this while, right? So we are going to do this is for addition. We're going to do this is for multiplication. This is for division. This is for flooring. I'm going to explain every answer. This is for modulus. Well, what modulus does is, you know what division does is division gives you everything. It gives you, for example, if I say, oh, this might not really give me what I really need. I can do 18 here. For example, if I do 5 divided by 18, so what we are going to have is going to be 3 points something, something, something. Division will give me the 3 points that I want to say. Modulus will only give me the remainder. That's what the modulus does. It gives only what? The remainder. Flooring will just run down for me. And this is what I want to show you. So we're going to discuss that right now. So let me comment all these things out once and for all. So if you want to comment multiple lines, what you would do is just to press Control key and
Now,
your
what division is left?
question mark key.
I didn't hear you. So what did you say modulus is this?
What did I?
Then modulus is this.
Okay, modulus will show you the remainder. To show only the remainder. Yeah, modulus will show you the remainder. Right? So let's check. So let's do Control F5. So let's check. This plus this, m plus n equals what? 13. Are you getting it? M plus n equals what? 13. 18 plus 5 equals 90. 18 times 5 equals 90. Obviously, 18 divided by 5 is 3.6. Right? 18 flooring 5 is what? 3. Can you see? 3. That's rounding down. Then modulus. So how do I mean 3? Why did you get 3 here? Is if we divide 5 by 18, this is what? 15. Abi? 15 minus 18 is what? 3. If I change this to 9, you will see these changes. Everything here will change, right? So let's see. I'm going to rerun, do Control F5. Can you see it now? 24, 95, 3.8, 3, and 4. And why is this 4? Is because if you divide this by this, it gives 3, remainder 4. So modulus gives remainder. This round down. Can you see it round it down? Round down. This divide gives the full value. We have multiplication, we have addition. Then I did not put subtraction. So let's do subtraction. So we did not do even power. Aha. We did not do power raised to power. Then we should do print n. I will do m minus n. So I can also do Control F5, make it bigger a little bit. Okay, so how do we get this? It's saying this n raised to power 5, 19 raised to power 5 gives 24, 2,476,099. Right? So these are basically about what we know about arithmetic operators. Very, very important. Can you see them? Very, very easy. Please note them. Note them. So the next we're going to discuss on this is going to be logical operator. So what do you mean by logical operator? So, so it's going to be logical operator. So what do you mean by logical operator generally? Logical operators are used to perform logical functions, right? They return true or false statements. right? Logical functions. They return what? True or false statements. So how do we do that? The only thing that we know about logical operator is what? And, or, and not. These are the three, just the way I wrote partition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. These are the three things that is involved in the logical operator, right? So basically, what we just need to know is when to use and, or, and not. In further mathematics, I remember when I used to be in high school those days, in further mathematics, I think, I don't know if you still use that book. There's this particular topic there called logic, right? So what it does is for us to be able to use and, I'm explaining, for us to be able to use and, it means two conditions must be true. Before and, we return a true statement. Before and, we return a true statement. The two conditions must be true, right? But for or, only one condition needs to be true before it will return a true statement. One condition just needs to be true before it returns a true statement and not negate everything. So let me give an example. I already said we already have our M and N. I can still use this. So what I will just do is to comment this out. You've not asked that question of how do I comment this thing out at once? Do you know it, Maria? Do you know it?
No, sir.
Ah, and you're not asking. But basically, you just press Control and you press question mark. You know where question mark is? Just before the shift side. Just press question mark. Shift and that question mark. Hold, I just shift, no, control key, not shift key. Control key and the question mark. Just hold your control key and press it. I light it first, then you press it. It will comment everything out at once. So we won't start doing hashtag. Camila, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. So, like I was saying, I'm still going to use this particular value just to check if this thing is right. So for the logical and operator, let's check. If I say N and M, right? If I say if N equals to true, let's say K equals to true, and L equals to false, right? I can say K and L, and just say you should print. I can just put this into print function, sure. Right? Same thing for the or. So this one, because K is true, and this will return, what will this return? I said the two, for and to return true, the true statement must be true. Do you understand? It must be what? True. So for this to be returned true. So what would this return? To definitely return false. Why is it returning false? It's because both are not true. If I change this back to or, if I change it back to or, of course, definitely this will return a true statement, right? So why? Because it doesn't only one value to be true. So you might not really understand this better, but let me change this to a value. For example, assuming I've got like 6 and I've got like 8 here, and I say this and this, why would this return false? It will return false because they are not equal to each other. And this equality sign will not really work. It's going to be the assignment sign. But let's run this. I'm sure we are going to run into an error. We just do this. It's just taking this, and that's all. Just printing this and this, and that's all. But for me to be able to get that particular true or false statement, I would show you what it means. But for now, let's go back to the true or false later that we've already talked about, just for us to show us what we really want to do here. So this is showing me true. Why is this showing me true? Showing me true because only one statement needs to be true before I can just show true for all. For not we now negate everything. For example, if I want a false, if I want a true for this particular one, what I will just do is just come here, write print statement. Yeah, inside the print statement. Inside the print statement, I can just do, you can start with not. Can you see? Not K and L. Initially, K and L give me what? False. Let's see what this will give me if I run again. Don't see this is giving me true. Why? It's because it's negating the result this wants to give me. You know, normally this should give me a false, but the not is going to negate it to give me what? True. If it is true, if I do this and I put oh yeah, no, it is true initially. Yeah, if I run this right now, it will give me false because true has been negated to false, and that is how it works. Are you following me? So that is that as a kind of logical operator. Then the next one is comparison operator. Please note all these things. Comparison operators. Comparison operators compare. You say compare. Yeah. Comparison operators are very, very key in whatever thing we are trying to do. Very key. And they are also called, they are used to compare keys in terms of the real value. They are used to compare keys in terms of the real value. They are used to compare keys and values contained by the operator. Like I said, they are used to compare keys and values. So we have the signs. We have equality sign, the equity sign. What we have here is not an equity sign. This is called an assignment sign in programming. This equality sign that we have, in our normal day-to-day activity, our normal mathematics, this is equality sign. But in programming, this is not equality sign. The real equality sign in programming is like this, double equals to. This one is just assigning a value to a data or a list. That's what it means. I want to assign a value to a list. So for example, if I want to rename someone, so I'm just going to assign the value to her and say for this period, though, when I call so name, you are the one that would answer. Do you understand? But if I want to compare you with someone else, so I'm not going to use this equality sign. This is the real equality sign I'm going to use. And that's why it's called a comparison operator. So we have this, we have greater than, we have less than, we have less than or equal to, right? We have greater than or equal to, we have less than or equal to. We have not equal to, yeah, not equal to. So all these things are comparison operators. The real equality sign that I was talking about is this one. And I think that is very, very key for you to understand, right? Very, very key. So how do we do that? Giving an example. I'm going to cite an example. Maybe still use the N and M that we had earlier. So we can say we should print, assuming, okay, maybe we should use another letter. We use L and M. You can use A. You can use D and E. You can say D is equals to say 10. And E equals to say 20 together with F. Let's stop it at E. So we can now come here and say we want to print. I want to print D. Like I want to print, is D equals to E? This is the question I want to ask. Right? Is D equals to E? So equals to, the equality sign here is trying to compare D and E together, which is what we normally do in class while writing in mathematics. But if you want to do that same thing on a computer, this is the equality sign we're going to use. So I'm going to ask you again, Miriam or Camila, is D equals to E? Are you there? I can't hear you.
No, sir.
So what would you
No.
expect? So what do we expect?
False.
False.
Aha, that makes sense. So false will show, but we don't know which false is he talking about. So let me comment this out right now. So let's be on. So can you see it's showing false? Right? So let's change it. Is D greater than E? Or be less than then? Is D less than E? Answer.
True. Yes.
Okay, true. Can you see? True. So I want you to, your second assignment or third assignment for the day, I want you to complete the other ones. Complete for greater than, less than. I want to know what result you would get from that aspect. Very, very important. Right? So what's the next one? Talk about assignment operator. Assignment operator. And that's where we're going to stop today. Assignment operator. So for the assignment operator, so what do you mean by assignment operator? Assignment operator itself is used to assign values. Assign values to a data. So that variable, I want to assign a value to that variable. Like I said, first of its kind, first example that you will know is this. This is used for assigning a value. It's not equality sign. The real equality sign is what I've just shown you here. Do you get? Even in JavaScript, I think, is it JavaScript or Python? In Python, yes, even in Python, we have this particular one also, but we don't put it. Triple equality sign. Triple equality sign. In JavaScript or in Python, you have triple equality sign. So what this does is also comparing, but this one, higher comparison. It will compare to the extent that it will compare its data type. Right? It will compare its data type. So it happens sometimes like that. I want to compare to the rudiment, to the core, to the root. I want to investigate to the root. So that is one thing that you can do, right? So first example for the assignment operator is this, right? Then followed by, there is something we normally do. So let me quickly do something just for you to see. I can use this particular value I have here. I can now say that D to be equals to D plus 1. What does that mean? D to be equals to D. You already know that D is 10. And I'm changing the value of D again now to be what? 10 plus 1 to be 11. So you will see that if I comment this out, and I print D here. If I print D here, you will see that D value will change from 10 to what? 11. And why? You will see. Can you see? That's changed from 10 to 11 because I brought in this D, which is 10. Then I added 1 to it, and I now renamed it as D again. So which means D has been overwritten. This D value has been overwritten, except if you want to write your code here. But if you're not writing your code here and you've moved away from the code block, like I said earlier, your D value will change. Do you understand? The D value will change. And if for me to be able to do this in a more scalable way, right, that is where we have assign and add and assign. Another thing is called add and assign. So it's going to be add, then assign. This same thing I've done, I can do it with just a single line of code, just the way I've written it here. Just the way I've written it here. So what am I going to do? What I will just do is going to be add and assign one. I will just say add and assign one. If I do this and I run this code, I will still get 11. But if I want to add this 20 to this particular this, which is 30, right? And I will still name it this. Do you understand? I can just come here and do add and assign E. If I do add and assign E, they are both variables. It will work. And I run. Of course, it's going to be 10 plus 20, 30. Do you understand? That is for add and assign. So since we have add and assign, we can also do subtract and assign. We can do divide and assign. We can do multiplication and assign. Where is it? Multiplication and assign. We can do modulus and assign. All these things are possible, right? They are very possible. So it's important for you to make sure that all these things works directly and it works for you. For example, I already have this and I've been able to check for add and assign. We can also do for subtract and assign. Or let's do for modulus and assign. Let's see the result this will give us. Modulus and assign. So if it's going to be modulus, of course, it's going to be 0. Except I change this from 10 to say 157. This is going to be 157. Then let's see what. Modulus and assign is showing me 17. So what does that mean? It's saying what? We should divide and assign the remaining value to D. Do you understand? So basically, 20 divided by 157 is 25, and it remains 7. It remains what? 17. So everything, it remains 17. That's 147. Plus, it remains 17. So the 17 is going to be what? The value of D right now. 17 is going to be what? The value of D right now. So all these things are very, very important. So the next assignment is for us to check how this works better. Maybe during when we are applying them, we will understand them better. We've been able to do modulus and assign. I've done add and assign. You can try subtract, division, multiplication, and assign. Very important. Any questions so far?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. So our next thing is going to be easy peasy. Then which is going to be, we've been able to do so many things in class today. So we are going to have a mini project, and the project is going to be a mini report card, a mini student report card. That is going to be our project. And what we are going to do is perhaps tell students to input their score. We want to tell students to input their score. Just to tell you, it's a simple project. Tell students to input their name, their subject, then they should input their score. Tell students. So you are not going to be the one to input those values. It's the student that will do that. Tell students to input their scores. No, the first their names. Firstly, their names, subject, and your mark, in those subjects. In those subjects. Very important. So how do we do that? So what I want to check is I want to know name, subject, and mark. At the end of the day, I want you to be able to print the name of the person, print the subject the person is writing, and print the mark score the person has imputed. Simple, simple and straightforward. Simple and straightforward. Or do you want to write anything? So another thing I can do also is to write a program to ask for your year birth. Another one, that's one. No, I'm giving you another one. So this is one. Sorry, one. So I have another one. Two is write a program that asks for your birth year and calculate your age. I think I said that earlier. So maybe I'm going to do one. Write a program that asks for your birth year and calculate your age. You have three. Write a program to ask for the price of three items and print this total cost. That's another one. Write a program to ask for three items. To ask for the price, sorry, to ask for the price for three items. Ask for the price of three items and print the total cost. Then the last one, which is 4, is going to be we'll write a program to ask for a number and print whether the number is even or odd. I might not be able to do that. So let's stop here. Print the total cost. So which one do you want me to do for you in class? Or you will do the 3 yourself and submit? Ah? Will you do the 3 and submit? Of course, that will also help you in practicing what we've done. Can you hear me, everyone? Can everyone hear me? You are muted. On mute. Everybody on mute. I want you to talk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you going to do the assignment and get back to me yourself? Then that will help you to know if you've understood it. If you don't, you can always call me and send a text message to me. You can just send me a WhatsApp message via mom's phone. Okay? Do you get that? So I think I should leave you to that to do it yourself. Tell the students their score, okay, their name, subject, and mark. So you let the students input. Not tell. Let the students input their name, their score, blah 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 blah, and the like. So I think you should understand the idea now. So that's just it. Any questions so far based on what we've done today? Huh? We are done with the first part, so we'll be moving straight to the next part, which is conditional statement and iteration. So any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, in view of your question.